All right, guys. Sorry, a little brain fart, a little mishap there when I was writing stuff on. So we're gonna have two videos. We're 23.2. Getting back to it, we were talking about feminism, and I was talking about their history of it, yada yada, and I'll splice it where I kind of jacked it up at. So, in the 19th century, we see him push for abolition. We see him push for the Seneca Falls Convention as well. That's in your reading. In 1919, we see suffrage, the right to vote. In the 1920s, we see prohibition because of the temperance movement was so powerful in the 19-teens. Or temperance movement. Actually, temperance movement started all the way back in the 1800s, but they really weren't successful until the 1920s. Okay, and then things kind of get like quashed for a little bit. We see women's right. We always see women's rights expand during wartime. That because men are going to war, that women are now used to go to work. They learn skills, and that to me, my biased opinion, that where you see the most freedom is economic freedom. Most liberties come from people being able to have money and being able to. You're more mobile. You can go where you need to, go where you want. I think it's more important than a lot of political rights and a lot of civil rights. That having the ability to make money, that's really important because it means you're more powerful. Okay, in the 1960s, we see Roe v. Wade. Okay, and there's always been like a little bit of a difference, a little bit of disagreements amongst women when it comes to feminism and the suffrage movement, temperance movement. There's obviously women that did like alcohol, and some women that did not. Roe v. Wade grows that exponentially. You start talking about abortion. Okay, then that's what Roe v. Wade is. Roe v. Wade basically says that all 50 states have to allow abortions in the first trimester. Now, it's up to the states after that for them to decide, what's the point. I think in Florida it's the first. You can't have an abortion after the first trimester. Guys, trimester means 3 months. Women, they have pregnancy for 9 months and trimester 3. Okay, so in some states, you can have an abortion up to the day before, okay? The day before the baby's due. In some states, Virginia and New York last year voted that if the mother wanted to have an abortion or was trying to have an abortion and the baby's born alive, that the doctor is required to let that baby then die of starvation or whatever else. You can check out the bill. You can check out the governor signed it in Virginia last year. I'll share the link with you. And this is in the point where we would have a big long discussion of when does life begin? What do y'all believe? And again, it's not to bringing this up is and talking about these controversial things. It's not to demean somebody or to put somebody down. It's to especially I think as a history teacher, to teach you how to make your argument and to teach and maybe think about somebody else's argument and maybe come to a compromise or not. And if you don't, then you can basically explain your argument a little bit better next time. And to me, that's really important, is the talking of politics. That's more important than I think people voting, because when people lean on each other and they learn people's what they believe in. So this is the point where I'd ask you guys, when does life begin? What do you think life begins? Is that I can remember when my son was born, and it was really kind of weird. A lot of people, they don't tell you this. Baby's born and they're not born breathing, right? Like I always believe that. Well, life must begin at that first breath, and it's crazy to see life begin, when a baby's born. Because my son was born and he wasn't breathing. I was freaking out. I was like, what the hell's going on? And what they do, they take a little plunger and they suck out all the placenta out of the nose and throat, and then then you see them take that big. They swallow the rest in, and they take a big deep breath of life, and life begins. So if you believe life begins at that first breath, then you have to say, according to the law, that an abortion should be okay up to, really, even as it's coming out of the vaginal canal. So then people are like, well, there's obviously some differences, right? Like, I'm not sure the exact date, but there's a lot of premature babies that are born 4 or 5 months in. That can be then incubated and grown, and they're alive. Some people believe, fundamentalists believe that, not just fundamentalists, but some people believe that inception, when the sperm hits the egg, that's life. You know? So people say heartbeat. Well, heartbeat starts like 2 weeks in. You know, so I think for you, you know, if you're you know, a political person, I think you really have to look at your arguments and figure out what you believe in, because they have unintended consequences what you believe in. You know, that means that, you know, technically a baby can be born. If you know, like I said, my first adjustment of you know, when I was a young person, I thought like, what is life? You know, I always thought you have to be breathing. You know, then you would have to be okay with a baby being born and, you know, it letting you in, you know, and killing it, you know, people killing it. And I don't think that's okay. I don't think anybody would kind of agree with that. But so maybe some people would. Anyways, so spend some time on that. That's been on the EOC before. It'll be on the test. Make sure you know Roe v. Wade was the law that said that all 50 states had to allow abortions in the first trimester for women to have that. So, okay. All right. Feminism aims to throw away the stereotype of what a woman, I guess put women, what a woman is, what women are. You know, that the old 1940s, 1950s, and everything, really kind of before then, the idea of a woman was to, you know, sit at home, you know, have children, you know, stay-at-home moms, and, you know, cook, clean, and doing the rest of that. Feminism in the 1960s aimed to kind of, well, really since the beginning, aimed to try to slowly get out of that, slowly chip away and get out of that. Sandra Day O'Connor was a very prominent person. She's the first woman Supreme Court justice. We're going to talk about other women of this era, on both sides, feminist sides and kind of like the group that was against feminism coming up. All right, now you need to know, you've been tested on NOW before. NOW stands for National Organization for Women. Okay, you need to know this for your tests. You need to know what they believe in. Their goal is for true equality for women. And they thought the Equal Rights Amendment would make that happen, or ERA. Okay, ERA, its goal is to have gender equality by law. The reason why it fails is because they included the right to an abortion, and America was not really okay with that at the time. And they protested traditional women. You know, this is when, like, you know, women kind of, they'd fight back and forth here a little bit. They didn't like stay-at-home moms. They thought that was an attack on women. Again, in my opinion, this is my biased opinion, I think, let people do what they want to do. If a woman wants to, you know, be a stay-at-home mom, it's great. She wants to be in a Miss America pageant, it's great. They protested these. They were upset at stay-at-home moms. You know, and even today on college campuses, you know, if you talk about, you know, they like scoff at people who want to stay at home and be a good mom. That's okay. That's really okay. And it's okay for somebody who want to go be a CEO somewhere. Do what you want to do. You know, at the end of the day, that's my biased opinion. You know, again, you can disagree, and that's fine. That's cool. That's awesome. But do what you want to do. You know, and this is where you start to see a lot of flack on the other end, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We'll talk about Phyllis Schlafly. Phyllis Schlafly is a woman. She was that really pushed back against NOW and pushed back against feminism. She was I think she was a lawyer. I can't remember what kind of lawyer she was, but she was very successful. But she got tired of the fact that, you know, feminists were attacking other women and so we start to see feminism becomes really kind of very controversial. When you start talking about abortion, you start to see a big divide. So she said feminism at that time, you know, we talk about there's other good things about feminism before the 1960s, but feminism, she felt, was an assault on family, marriage, and children. Okay, and she was really, it's crazy to see that, you know, me teaching this over the last 10 years, how much America's changed and how much, man, some of these things, she was right. She felt that the Equal Rights Amendment would make women fight in the military. They do now. You know, women, it used to be only men could get drafted. Women can now be drafted. Okay, a large part of, you know, for a long time, for most of America until Obama, women were not part of that conscription. She said it would end sex-separated bathrooms. We saw there's big fights of this about 3 or 4 years ago, where with the transgender movement, in certain states and certain cities and certain colleges, you don't even need to transition to be, like, say if you're a boy, you don't even need to transition to be a girl. If you can just say, hey, I feel like I'm a girl today, identify as a girl, you can go to a girl's bathroom. Obviously, there's going to be some issues with that, for sure. Obviously, some people, not everybody, but some people would take advantage of that. And she said that would happen in the 1960s with the Equal Rights Movement, and it has. It's crazy to think that. You go on college campuses today, they have these signs up that, that in some college campuses you can, that showers are not sex separated, dorm rooms aren't sex separated, which obviously led to an increase of sexual assaults. Imagine that. If you can tell, if you say boys, you can go to the girls' bathroom if you feel like you're a girl today. Obviously, there's gonna be some negative consequences that come out of that. It's kind of crazy. What was the last one? And it would, lastly, it would hurt families. And I don't know if ERA's responsible for all this, but eventually all this stuff happens. We see, more and more families end in divorce than they, than stay together now. I don't know if ERA has anything to do with that, but since the 1960s, it has skyrocketed divorce rates, fatherless homes, single parent households has skyrocketed. That obviously hurts families. It's a bad thing. So remember, Phyllis Schlafly's the one who kind of fights back against feminism. Okay. All right, its effects, feminist effects. Again, some good things and bad things. You always have to take into fact the unintended consequences of any new law. So the first one we're going to talk about, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It included in that you can't outlaw discrimination based on gender, which is good. Okay, you can't discriminate against, based on people's sex. Okay, which is good. Title IX gets to be kind of dicey. Okay, and I'll explain what it is, and then I'll tell you my kind of honest opinion, what I've been dealt with as well. So Title IX of Higher Education Act of 1972, it was illegal to deny anybody credit due to gender. So obviously, males and females should be educated at the same institutions. Get that, cool. Sports have to have equal number of players. Are they in violation of Title IX? So, this is what's happened on college campuses. If you haven't noticed, and it's kind of big. I knew this because I'm a wrestling coach, but if you've ever wondered why is Southern schools so much better at football than really kind of anywhere else in the country, and here's why. They understood what this was going to do, okay? University of Florida has something like 90-something scholarship football players. Well, according to Title IX, how many girl players do you have to have in another sport? You have to have 90. Well, what's the next big girl sport that there is? Basketball is, you put 5 players on, maybe scholarship 10 or 15, right? Maybe, I don't know. Soccer's 10, 20, you start adding up all the other sports, soccer, maybe you get 20 plus basketball, so say maybe 30, 40, you're only getting halfway there to compensate for football. So what certain schools did is they cut out other sports. They cut out boys wrestling, okay? Up north in Big Ten schools, they're pretty good in wrestling, and they're pretty good in football, but they're not so good in baseball. In the South, they're really good at baseball, they're really good at football. Why is that? They cut their losses. They understood that they had to have equal number of girls and guys. And the intentions of the law were great. The intentions were to get more girls to play sports. Cool. Awesome, let's do that. Well, we have that now. So do we have to follow to the T that you have to have equal numbers all the time? How about we just offer it, and if people take it, they take it. Cool. Let people live, let people do what they want, that kind of thing. So, I don't know, I really wish y'all were here so I could kind of get into more details of it, but anyways. Roe v. Wade, we covered that already. All states have to allow abortions in the first trimester. And then the glass ceiling. This has been one thing that I used to talk about it in the past, but I've seen more and more videos of it. I'm gonna attach a video to this and see what y'all think of it. And the gender pay gap, a lot of people think that it's a lie. I'm not too sure anymore. I used to think that, of course there is. And I saw some studies done, and you really look at it if you're if you're a business person and you have a woman that you've hired, and and you have to give her maternity leave, and so you are pricing in your brain that like, okay, every year, at least once a year, that a woman could get pregnant and she could ask for 6 to 8 weeks off, and you have to give it to her by law, and you lose that 8 weeks of productivity from that worker. So I always kind of understood it as, okay, all right, I get it. Like, I don't think it's fair, you know. And my wife's a big time lawyer. She's she does a hell of a job, and she'd work at these big time law firms and not get paid the same. That's what it is, whatever, you know. And I always it sucks, but I always kind of took it at it as it is. And the assumption is like even today, that women get paid 77 cents to every dollar a man makes. Now, I'm gonna attach some videos, and people who are way smarter than me are gonna break it down. I don't know. I would like to kind of like dive deeper and look into it a little bit more. But I'm gonna share some videos and kind of get your opinion of what you believe. But the glass ceiling, anyways. The glass ceiling is this idea that like women can only go up so far, and that glass ceiling is gonna keep them down. Like they can see above them, and they can see everybody else working up there, but they're not gonna be able to get paid because they get paid less. And Phyllis Schlafly said this one time. Again, she's kind of a troller against the feminists. She said trading that trying to work up, you're trading first class families for second class careers. Okay. Really good chapter, really good section to talk on. Again, when we Google Meet on, I think we're gonna try to do it soon, a couple days. If you have anything you want to add or ask, or you want to disagree or say, you're wrong, coach, awesome, good, hold it, write it down, and let's talk about it, okay? Again, the idea is not for me, I'm not here to tell you what's right or what's wrong for what you believe in. My idea is to get you talking about it and, kind of just discuss some facts and figure out what you believe in and how to fight for those things. So, hope you had a good day. We've got part 3 coming up. We're going to skip 23.3 and go to 23.4. You'll have a worksheet on 23.3. Okay? All right.